Turn that down.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody.
Wow, who was that?
Where's the cough button when you need it? Wow. Well, everybody, this is Brian Smith along with
Carrie Smith.
Here with Smyth Radio, giving you all the breaking news of last week, summing it all up, making sense of it all, and then getting you prepared for the week to come.
Don't forget to point out it is Super Bowl Sunday, February 1st, according to my handy-dandy computer here.
So don't call in, because this is pre-recorded.
Unless you're listening right now.
Then you can call in. Let me give you everybody a heads up of what we're going to talk about today. It has been an insanely busy week. We don't want to miss anything that's critically important, especially when you go back to work and people start talking about things you want to know. And you want to be able to get in that conversation and let them know what the truth is. So we're going to touch on American Sniper, the movie that is breaking box office records. It has set to be the all-time highest grossing rated R movie ever.
Really?
Ever.
Really? That doesn't make any sense.
It is. It's slated.
How is that even possible?
Because it's that good.
Well, I've heard that it's very good, and of course there's
well, we're going to get into that.
Of controversy around everything like that.
Yeah.
We've been promising for weeks now to talk about American Sniper because Brian watched it several weeks ago.
Right.
And so he could, give his little review on it, if you will. And it's like every week we run out of time.
Yeah. So I put it as number one, so we're going to hit that thing pretty hard.
Anything else we're going to hit?
We're also going to hit Michelle Obama.
Well, I'd like to... avoid having to go through that.
Okay.
But
we'll touch on that.
You guys need to know.
Yeah, she's got her personal take on American Sniper, as well as some fake beheadings.
Oh, more fake beheadings.
More fake beheadings. Hillary is making the news like never before. I've been meaning to bring her up every once in a while just to give you guys,
She's so forgettable.
Yeah, she's very forgettable, but this week... I got a little bit of history for you, breaking news as well. We're also going to talk about Scott Walker. If you don't know him, you better get to know him.
You need to get to know Scott Walker.
Right. And just for Super Bowl fun and kicks, I've got a horrifying commercial slated to be played on Super Bowl Sunday.
You mean today?
Yeah.
Okay.
A horrible commercial. We're going to touch on Israel, Obama's spat as a child back and forth with Benjamin Netanyahu and Loretta Lynch, who's slated to take over Eric Holder's job.
Of course.
And how insane she is. I mean, she's Obama. Obama's picking her.
You're going to have to explain to me why she's insane when we get to that story because, the sound bites I've heard so far of some of the interviews, I guess, with her, sounded like she's normal. I mean, she has a. Well,
she's a lawyer. She's an excellent prosecuting attorney.
Okay. Does she know how to sit on the stand?
Oh,
and the hot seat
very well. Just like Trey Gowdy, Trey Machine Gun Gowdy was also in a similar position that she was in. As a prosecuting attorney.
Okay.
And she's well versed. And something we talked about earlier this week is that how can two people sit down and watch a movie and come away with it with two completely different opinions about it? That's how this plays out with Loretta and Trey. Both had the similar jobs, both trained and versed as a lawyer, but one sways to the left, to the dark side, and one doesn't.
Yeah, it's It's amazing when you really stop and pay attention and look at it from an outsider's, like an outside observer, watching people react from the left and the right to all different kinds of things. And it could be, something that Trey Gowdy might say, or Loretta Lynch might say, or just viewing a movie like American Sniper, or you listen to there's something wrong with Jesse the Body Ventura when he says pretty much word for word what Michael Moore says. That's a problem.
Right.
That is a major problem.
No, it's really bad. I completely lost all respect for him. I mean, I know he ran as governor. He won that. But the problem was that he was not a Democrat, not a Republican. He ran as an independent. And the problem lies in he couldn't get anything done because that state was run 50% Republican and 50% Democrat. And neither one would work with him. So I'm not sure. I mean, when I say he didn't do a good job, he couldn't get anything done, so he didn't do a job. So I don't even know whether his politics would have worked out or his ideologies would have worked out or not. But in the real world, in life, he is a complete jackball.
He's an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this guy's like a normal person. This is right when he first got elected. This was a guy that everybody laughed at because he's just a former wrestler, big-time wrestler, WWF, WWE, all that kind of stuff. And he was also played a prominent role in the movie Predator.
Yes.
Yes, he did. He was the coolest guy in the world in Predator.
Yes.
And he's also former Navy SEAL and all that kind of stuff. And we all were thinking, this guy has no shot. All the politicians are laughing at him because he's not a politician, and here he is trying to run as governor. He has no chance. But it was one of those weird election cycles where he was in the right place at the right time, got elected, and we all thought, he's kind of got those libertarian views. At least that's what we thought at the time, which we like here, because a conservative libertarian is pretty much describes what Brian and I are, especially me. And that's what we thought out of him. And then it comes to find out he's completely insane.
That's who I was thinking about. Al Franken, the comedian.
Yeah.
That won the political position. I'm not sure if it was a senator. I think it's a senator.
Probably, I think so.
Lied, cheated, and stole.
Oh, he stole the election.
Yeah, totally lied, cheated, and stole to get that.
Yeah, when you lose an election, it really sickens me when a recount, if a recount results in an overturning of the original count, that's it. It's final. It's like, wait a minute. Can we at least investigate why the first count didn't have the person that won the recount winning? What, like, can I get an explanation as to why it was counted wrong the first time? I need an explanation.
Well, I have your explanation that they don't want to talk about. But it's fraud. It's a complete fraud.
Right. So as long as they can get their hands on the votes to recount them, that's when the shenanigans happen.
Right.
And the shenanigans led to an overturning of the election, which, I think that the first one would be the more accurate one. And so, I don't know. There should be a best out of 3 or something. And there should be a lot of oversight. And, Al Franken is one of those people that shouldn't be in charge of anything.
No, I mean, he's a comedian.
He's a bad comedian, too.
I just pulled up his name. I pulled up Al Franken stole the election on the Google.
Yeah.
The third search says, when 1,000 felons voted in a race, won by 312 votes.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
1,099 felons voted, and it was determined by 300 votes. Yikes. So, Salon.com. Oh, they stepped in. They said, prove it or shut up. Well, Salon.com, I don't know if you know about them.
Oh, I know.
Oh, okay.
They're totally communist propaganda.
Right, and they are outspokenly gay, and they are liberal, psycho, socialist, communist, very extreme on that end.
And here's the thing about being gay. Why can't you be gay and also agree with the fact that free market capitalism works and socialism and communism doesn't work?
Right.
Why does being gay mean you have to agree that communism is better than free market capitalism? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's kind of an odd phenomenon with gays, and you could kind of make the same argument with 95% of the black community.
Right.
Why do you have to support communist causes and hate capitalism just because of the culture you're in or whatever?
Well, if you look at history, gays, blacks, Jews, minorities were killed by these regimes.
Oh yeah,
these communist dictatorship regimes. I mean, the first ones to go were the preachers and the priests, the heads of the churches. Those are the first that were rounded up and taken off, and then they start going after the rest of the minorities, whether it was the Jews during Hitler's reign, and I think you brought this up to me, might have been you, earlier this week, said that people were trying to prove that they had less than 25% Jew in them so that they wouldn't be arrested, and that was
right.
quarter.
If you had at least one grandparent that was Jewish back during Nazi-led Germany, then you were supposed to be rounded up to be put in a concentration camp. So people had to do, actually I believe it was mandated by Hitler for everybody to do their genealogy.
Wow.
So we could find out whether or not one of your grandparents was Jewish. And which was
just amazing.
And the big controversy about that is nobody knew that there were rumors that one of Hitler's grandparents was Jewish. And so they were wondering what that was all about. And so he had like all of his records. It's exactly like Obama.
Right.
Obama has to hide his Muslim background, which he may or may not be Muslim, but whatever, with him living in Kenya and learning Islam and all that kind of stuff.
The city Hawaii in Kenya.
Right.
Because he was born in Hawaii.
Right. And for him to be able to... So there's a city in Kenya called Hawaii. And that's why they say, I was born in Hawaii. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
So anyway, he hides all this, and it's funny because there's people out there letting the cat out of the bag, such as a majority of the town in Kenya that knows Obama as a child is like, we know he was born here.
Yeah, the doctor came out and said, I delivered.
They've got all these shrines in Kenya talking about the birthplace of Obama.
You're just a crazy right-winger.
Meanwhile,
you're a birther.
He's pulling out an unbelievable amount of, if you want to label people birther, until you prove otherwise.
It is.
I'm birther.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and err on the side of caution and say you are not eligible to be president.
Do you see how do you see how they, when I say they, I mean the left lunatics.
What do you mean those people?
Those people on the left, how they love to make up these names and call people names in order to discredit them.
Well, you have to divide and conquer, and in order to divide, you have to put people in groups.
Right.
And just like Hitler did, first he got rid of the priests.
Right.
So he had to say, okay, we got this small little minority group of people we call priests, pastors, whatever, that we don't want in this area of Germany. So we're going to go ahead and haul them off to the concentration camps. And now we have this other small minority group of Jews. We're going to round them up, and Polish people, just everything. It's all about divide and conquer, and that's what the communists today are doing, just like they've always been doing.
Right. So you got to be able to listen for these things. You got to be able to hear it, and that's why you listen to Smyth Radio, because that's what we're all about.
Yeah,
giving
this is
you
not
those key
stuff.
points.
This is not stuff I expect anybody listening to already know. What happens is when we say this stuff, you kind of feel the truth to it, because you live every day, you observe what's going on. You can't put two and two together because you haven't maybe you haven't done it as long as we have. We connect the dots for you, but you see the dots.
Yes.
You just have to have them connected.
Right. It's not that hard.
Right.
So I guess if you want, we can touch on... this was pretty big this week, so we touch on American Sniper now.
Let's go ahead and talk about American Sniper. So here's this movie that came out that covers a book that was written by a guy who was a sniper in Afghanistan.
Chris Kyle.
So that's what the movie's about. That was what the book was about. I believe he wrote the book, right?
Directed by Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, right. And I read an article this week that talks about, I don't know if they're just attempting to discredit the entire movie or the entire life of Chris Kyle.
Yeah, they are.
But it was actually an article that included Jesse Ventura that talked about how him beating and knocking out Jesse Ventura in that bar was only one of many, many, many fabrications that Chris Kyle said about his life. And so their argument is that his entire movie and his entire book is just fiction.
Well, I mean, if I wrote an autobiography, I mean, I very easily could.
Just sugarcoat some things.
I
or
could
make
go
up
liberal.
Other things.
I could go liberal and just rewrite history. I could.
Yeah.
However, it's just, if you only have these angry libs from a specific cult of the culture attacking the movie, then I can't believe it. If there's other people in Chris Kyle's life that start to come out and say, hey, no, that never happened, or like when Obama went to college and nobody remembers him actually even being in the classes or president of the...
Well, my question is if Chris Kyle can't produce the buddies he was with at that bar when he supposedly knocked out Jesse Ventura, if he can't produce those people to come forward and say, I was there, yes, that was Jesse Ventura.
But Chris is dead, though.
No, I'm talking about his
family
with
now.
His buddy. No, he's with his buddies at this bar.
Right, but Chris can't produce anything now.
Oh, but he had the opportunity to. He could have at any time when he was still alive. Like what? And he may be dead, but the people he was with at that bar are still alive. Why couldn't they come out and say, yeah, it was Jesse, and yeah, he did knock him out, and yeah, Jesse did say those things?
Maybe they can't come out, just like all the hundreds of people that worked and lived in Benghazi that were shipped back to America.
Yeah, and then there's the thing about SEAL Team 6, the ones that killed Osama. Well, that guy, the evil guy. You know, the evil guy.
Why was that such... Everybody in the news media was slipping the lip and kept calling Osama Obama.
Right.
Obama
when Osama got killed, everybody kept calling him Obama.
Obama is dead. Obama is dead.
And then they were like, wait, I said Osama, right?
No, you said Obama.
You said it like 3 times, dude. Yeah, so it's a Freudian slip.
SEAL Team 6, the whole team was on a helicopter, and that's it. They're gone.
Yeah, they're gone now. All the people that's, quote, meanwhile...
How is that even remotely possible?
Meanwhile, it was insisted by the Obama administration and military personnel at the time to not let anybody see this quote-unquote funeral. And by the way, let's go in the middle of the ocean and dump his body. Let's wrap his body in giant chains and anchors.
Cinder blocks.
Let's put his feet in a masonry tub full of cement. Let it dry.
Oh, and the reason why you have to give him cement shoes is because if you use steel, it'd eventually rust and the body will float to the top.
Oh, right. You need it to... Yeah. So if you've ever seen that movie, The Abyss, there's a place, I don't know, I think it might be in the Pacific Ocean, where it goes down like 8 miles or something like that.
And it's the deepest and the furthest, and you couldn't.
It's so
retrieve
deep that no machine could ever be created to go down there to explore it because it would just
All the
crush
pressure.
everything. Yeah.
Right.
And all the equipment would stop working and all that kind of
The
stuff.
movie Casino. At the very end, didn't Joe Pesci get thrown in, and he was down there, and he saw all the other dead bodies that he'd killed and thrown in there? Was that Casino?
He did get beat with a bat in his own grave.
No, okay. What movie was that?
I don't know.
He was thrown in the water with anchors on his
water?
feet. Yeah, on the anchors on his feet. That's right. Casino, he did get beat in his own grave.
Yeah.
This was a different movie. It was anchors to his feet. He was thrown in the water, and he was literally dying, and he could see all the other dead bodies he put in there.
I have not seen that movie, but that sounds pretty funny.
It was. What do you
It sounds-
know about a
Like there's all the
dichotomy?
people. Like right before you die, you get to see what happened to all the people that disappeared.
That you did.
And you're the only one that knows, and then you die. But at least you
Right.
get to know that before you die. It's like Jimmy Hoffa might have been down there.
Yeah, I think he saw Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa was there, yeah.
So for the, I don't know, not low information voters, but those voters who are really into actors and actresses, that whole.
Well, they could be low information, and they could. Let's put it to you this way: if we're talking about pop culture,
That's what I'm talking about.
and you know about it, there's probably a 90% chance you also fit into the category of low information voter.
Right, because you spend a lot of your time with the pop culture, which I just, So this week, Seth Rogen came out, and this is all on Twitter, and he came out and said that American Sniper kind of reminds me of the third act of Inglourious Bastards.
And if you've ever seen that movie, it looks like, besides the fakeness to it, you would think, oh, this is about World War II, so it must be a true story.
Right, but...
But it's completely fabricated.
Right.
But it was based on no true events, but it was during World War II, which really did happen.
Right.
So it's almost like Quentin Tarantino tried to lend some credibility to outrageous storytelling by saying, well, yeah, this is World War II. There's Nazis. And
Well, that's what Quentin does.
well, it's like Django Unchained. Have you seen that one? You seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I actually thought that was a great movie, but it's like during Civil War, during all that kind of stuff, and so there's like, did this really happen? Like, it makes you
Yeah.
think that.
And movies can do that to you.
So that was a very skillful trick that Seth Rogen's trying to pull
Right.
by comparing it to Inglourious Bastards.
A fake movie.
He's saying, well, yeah, it's Afghanistan, it's a sniper, it involves stuff that really happened, but the whole thing is fake?
Right.
Okay,
The whole thing's
all right.
So Dean Cain, who's an actor, he came back on Twitter and he said, Seth, I like your films, but right now I want to kick your... Chris is an American hero, period. Go to war, then we'll talk.
Okay.
I mean...
When I say go to war, I wouldn't say that sentence. I would say defend the country. And that could mean doing 4-year tour in the military.
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
not doing anything. I mean, that's...
Well, Seth Rogen, I believe, is from Canada.
Aren't they all?
America Junior.
So he gets to wear a smoky.
Yeah, he gets to wear a
And
smoky.
He gets to jump on a horse
and
wear
Lord.
a smoky.
Oh, Lord.
They got the cavalry up there.
Yeah, they still do. The Mounties.
The mounted.
The
yeah.
mounted cavalry. So Alec Baldwin, who we haven't heard from in a while,
And by the way,
which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's
I
a
was
good thing.
hoping we'd never hear from him again. But he came to Seth Rogen's defense
oh, of course he did.
and said, did Dean Cain threaten Seth Rogen? And isn't that the same kind of troubled thinking that got Chris killed? Help me out, Dean. What branch of the service were you in, and where did you serve?
Okay, I have a problem with this. Maybe I'm a low information voter at this point, but I don't think Chris Kyle got killed because of threats. He was He was teaching,
Right.
or was it training or teaching?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, he was killed at a gun
Well,
range.
you know he's dead. It's kind of like Titanic. You know the end of the movie.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was helping. Everybody knows that Chris Kyle's dead and that he died at a gun range,
Right. Well,
helping out a fellow former soldier that was
PTSD.
was suffering from post-traumatic stress
During
disorder.
the movie, when Chris came back home, I mean, this movie is just riveting from the very beginning all the way through the very end. It's just unbelievable. It's emotional, and it renewed my faith in the American military, the American soldier, and it also exposed you to what they have to go through when they come back home. So Chris had his own battle with PTSD.
And I can't wait to see this movie because that is a facet of military service that I know I didn't, and I'm pretty sure Bride didn't either.
I didn't.
We cannot understand because we weren't even. This is so far.
When you're in the Air Force,
and I was in the Marines,
right? You don't, and most POWs and most all the wars were Air Force members because we're not issued any kind of weapon.
Well, and we weren't.
And we're
issued,
usually
we had an armory nearby, but
we're usually on a base doing maintenance, if you will. The
And
Air
that's-
Force doesn't
right.
do anything but fly planes for the most part,
Right.
unless you're in the Special Forces.
I guess if you're a pilot and you had to do either a bombing run or maybe a strafing mission, if you're a fighter pilot
What
or whatever.
about that one pilot back in the 90s who jettisoned out of his aircraft and was over in the Middle East in the somewhere in the woods, and he was hiding out, and he had to live on. He was eating bark and bugs and lived for like 3 or 4 days until he was found.
I don't know that story, but
It was huge.
but
back when we were
pilots-
kids. I mean, that would be a
yeah, I mean, a pilot is a combatant who is doing everything that an infantry soldier is doing, just in a plane. I mean, you're doing the actual attacking, and you're getting shot back at if they have heat-seeking missiles in the area, or just even small arms fire. You know, you could fire at an aircraft or a helicopter or whatever flying at a low enough altitude, and it could disable or destroy your aircraft and kill you. So I could see how it's possible that a pilot could have the post-traumatic stress disorder.
Scott O'Grady.
Scott O'Grady?
That's the name of the pilot, Scott O'Grady.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he could, and if you do get shot down and become a POW, or you're living off of bark in the forest, you know, that kind of stuff can affect you adversely. But, so, you know, but me personally, I never shot anybody, I never shot at anybody, and I never got shot at. And I never, ever once had my life in danger while I was serving. And so I just can't relate. I just don't understand what they go through, and can only imagine what they go, that
Right.
long process of recovery, if they ever do recover from the damage that they get that causes what we refer to as PTSD.
Right, and the reason why you guys may not have heard of Scott O'Grady and why I remember it so well is because he was an F-16 fighter pilot, which I worked on the F-16s, and he was over there in Italy during Operation Deny Flight when I was there, and he was shot down over Bosnia. He was shot down by Sam's missile launcher, ejected from his seat, and lived on bark and grass. And this happened in 95. And so, I mean, it was just a huge thing for us to know that he finally was pulled out alive and recovered. So it's just amazing. But still, I think... I mean, that's troubling in itself, but still I think that that Chris Kyle went through PTSD, if you will, more so than Scott O'Grady.
Well, and the guy that killed him was really...
Right, so
he was really suffering from it.
Right, so Chris was... he had made it through the woods, if you will, fighting his own battle, coming through on the back end of it, and he started helping his fellow military buddies that were suffering from PTSD. And the way that he would do it is that he would get together with them and do something they all loved to do, which was fire weapons. And they'd go to the firing range and fire their weapons and hang out and be buddy-buddy. Well, the one guy he took, and the movie doesn't show this. The end of the movie, I'll let you see the end of the movie. I won't tell you how it ends, because that's in itself. But the buddy, or the supposed friend of his, killed Chris in the attempt to take his truck because he had a brand new truck. He wanted his truck.
So he murdered him to steal his truck?
Yes,
that's pretty messed up. Like, that's kind of
doesn't compute.
Yeah, why would you do that?
No,
and why
not
would
at
you
all.
think that you would get away with that?
Right.
Like, what do you do after that? I'm driving around this truck. I mean, I had to kill the guy to get it, but
right. And I don't know how to renew the tags. I need to renew them, but
yeah. Well, just ride hot. I'll just ride with
riding
expired.
dirty.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm gonna ride dirty, and hopefully a cop doesn't check the plates.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. I did not know the details of that, but that's just sad.
Well, let me pull up. I was going to pull up Howard Dean. Yeah, let's do Howard Dean. Clip 1.
Howard Dean. Is this about American Sniper?
I don't know what Dean is.
There's a Dean Cain actor.
I know.
But this is Howard Dean.
Yeah, and I don't know.
The Screamer.
I don't know.
The scream heard round the world.
I don't know.
I have a scream speech.
Yeah, I don't know what his deal is and why he's trying to.
Yeah,
there he is.
right.
He is.
That's the guy.
But he made an appearance on the Left Wing News, NBC, CBS, one of them. I don't even keep track anymore. But this is what he had to say about the movie.
There's a lot of anger in this country, and the people who go see this movie are people who are very angry. And this guy basically says, I'm going to fight on your side, and they bite for it. I think there's some. I bet you if you looked at a cross-section of the Tea Party and people who go to see this movie, there's a lot of intersection.
An intersection of what? I'm confused at what he was trying.
Intersection of angry people.
Okay. There's no more angry people than liberals. They are the most hateful, angry people. I don't know what he's talking about. Where does he get that? Is he referring to? See, I didn't see the movie. Is that something that he would take from watching the movie?
No, I don't get where. The only thing I can.
It's projection.
Yes.
For those of you that do not know what projection is, it is an actual psychological condition that they teach you in psychology. That's where I learned it. When I took psychology. When we learned about projection, it was a huge aha moment, and I've kind of kept it with me from then on. But it's a phenomenon you see everywhere at all times from everybody. They believe that people think and behave the way they would because they are suffering from that problem.
Right, and
so,
you may even find yourself
I'm
projecting.
Sure. I project, and I try my hardest
yep.
not to.
And
it's
good
so common.
I catch myself.
Oh
right.
yeah, and if you know it, it'll help. It'll help prevent you from projecting so much. But Howard Dean trying to call an entire group of people, giant group of people, angry, is simply him projecting his own anger on the side that he thinks must be angry because, I don't know, he feels like they're wrong.
Right. Well, and technically the Tea Party isn't a party. The Tea Party is just your average, ordinary American citizen who has love for the country and wants to keep that freedom and wants to keep the law and order. And, just it's a grassroots movement that just moved up. You can't ever stop it. And it's just unfortunate that Glenn Beck jumped off the wagon.
Yeah, he got. I don't know what
he steered straight into a bridge embutment and has lost his mind.
He had a movement going that he could have rode all the way to the promised land with, and he just got off the exit and said, "You know what? I'm going to just
see ya.
I'm going to do something else.
And now he talks badly, if you will, about the name Tea Party.
Yeah, he thinks that the name should be changed. He doesn't like the way some people are doing things, which there's definitely criticism to go around.
Well, yeah, I mean, wearing a trifold hat's probably a bit out there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you got to watch the imagery and all that kind of stuff. But it's not a party. It's called the Tea Party in reference to the Boston Tea Party. And the Boston Tea Party was not a party either.
No.
And so if you have to learn and know about the Boston Tea Party, which was like one of the initial things that happened that led to the American Revolution.
Right.
The Declaration of Independence and all that stuff. So it really led to the Declaration of Independence from Great Britain's tyrannical rule.
Now, do you want to hear that Howard Dean came back with all the criticism he got? He got a lot of heat for saying that. So he decided to come back out of the closet to be on Chris Matthews' show and give like an apology. Sort of.
Why would Chris want an apology for anything like that? I don't know.
Well, no, he's not giving it to Chris. He's on Chris's show.
And Chris is probably trying not to make him apologize.
Well, after you hear Chris, you won't be surprised. But here's Chris Matthews on PMS NBC, some station.
Which I've almost never done in politics. I'll apologize to the veterans. I haven't seen the movie, and I think I was wrong. I talked to a lot of people about it. I make no apologies to all the thousands of right-wing nutjobs who have been twittering me with nasty language, but I do apologize to the veterans. We owe them a lot, and I think this movie was much more nuanced than I thought.
But you'll not take the word nutbags back?
No, I don't have any use for the people who tweeted me all weekend and used a lot of bad language. They're chicken hawks, and I have no respect for them.
We don't like chicken hawks.
I do have respect.
Like Dick Cheney.
I have a lot of respect for the people who served this country, and I apologize.
Thank you, sir.
That was just dog whistle mania there.
Dude, he threw like Dick Cheney.
Yeah, chicken hawk. Like Mr. Burns. I mean, Dick Cheney. The Mr. Burns from
from The Simpsons.
Yep, The Simpsons. So, by the way, Howard Dean, twittering somebody is what you would do to cause somebody to get a thrill up their leg. You tweet people. You don't Twitter them.
Yes, so if you Twitter them, just like Chris Matthews got the thrill up his leg.
He got Twittered.
He got Twittered by Obama's first election.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Obama is Twittering Chris Matthews.
Right.
And causing him to have a little thrill up the leg.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, this when I was doing show prep this weekend, one night I slipped down that rabbit hole.
Uh-oh.
I got into
like fun.
A bunch of Ted Nugent stuff. Ted Nugent was on a show with Gloria Allred. And I don't know where these people come from, but if you don't know Ted Nugent apparently behind the scenes VH1 that I watched.
Mm-hmm.
He never did drugs and he didn't drink.
Ever.
Wow. No drugs, no alcohol.
We're talking about a rock and roll star.
But he was addicted to sex.
Ah.
That was his thing.
Okay.
But he has a gun sitting on a coffee table with a camera on that gun so that anybody in the world can see when that gun decides to fire itself.
Oh, you mean he's feed? It's a live feed.
Right. Waiting for
so anybody with an internet connection can log in
and
and watch.
Maybe so. It might be CCTV, but
okay.
I don't know.
Well, I'm sure somebody's recording it somewhere.
Yeah,
Could
at
be Ted.
all times,
Right.
because the moment that gun fires itself will be the moment that it will be confirmation that guns kill, not people.
Do you remember a long time ago we were on the phone together and I was telling you we need to make a movie or just a short film, maybe just one scene just for the fun of it, where a guy driving down the road approaches a gun shop and voices start to like the guy
Yes.
The guy gets talked to like a schizophrenic person who has voices in his head.
Right.
Kind of like that, but it's the guns talking to him, and trying to trick him into going into the gun shop and forcing him to purchase the gun, and then forcing him to just blast everybody. Because I think liberals believe that that's what guns do.
Yeah, they do. When you look, if you've never seen a gun in person, you've only seen it on TV, but when you see one laying in front of you on a desk,
it's calling your name.
And then you pick it up, and you're just all
have no control. You have no control over your finger.
No, of course not.
You know, that reminds me of a show I saw the other day that would have sent you into orbit.
Jeez.
I can't remember the name of the website that at the end, but if I did, I'd make sure you knew it. But it was a whole entire show with all these scientists and everything talking about how free will is an illusion.
Oh, how do you allow yourself to watch this crap?
I don't know. Listen, it was really, really late at night.
Okay.
And I was fighting to stay awake. I didn't even want to stay awake. I was like, I really need to be going to bed.
Were you sober?
I was sober.
Okay.
And so I'm like trying to go to bed, and all of a sudden they started talking about this free will stuff. I just like clicked it on, and I said, "Ooh,
free will.
This is interesting," because they were pointing out that scientific studies prove, and this is their language, by the way,
okay,
that free will is a complete illusion.
Of course it is.
That nobody has free will. It's just an illusion. And they talked about these studies that they've done that proved it. And I'm like, I wish you could have had a video camera on me watching this, because my jaw kept getting lower and lower. Like, as the minutes ticked by, my jaw was, after about 15 minutes, my jaw was probably on the ground. My eyes were like Tom and Jerry, like Tom with the eyeballs popping out of your head.
Yeah.
I could not believe the lunacy I was hearing. But
and it was on in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and then I couldn't help but going straight to the internet and looking up. When the show was over, they had a website, and I went right to the website and I started reading some of the articles they had, and of course there were comments section. And there was a guy in the comments section that was like, "Oh yeah, this is so true, blah blah." And he said it makes sense, because if you imagine being born as Hitler, when Hitler was born, in the place that he was born, he was making the argument that this is true because anybody who was born as Hitler would have done everything that he did. So the idea of free will for each individual soul is an illusion, because you would have done everything Hitler did.
But now they're painting a straw man with that.
Well, first of all, it's completely, like you say, straw man.
You're looking backwards into...
It's a what-if scenario.
Right.
And he was talking about it as if that was some sort of evidence. When I would argue that, okay, maybe you would go and be Hitler all over again and do everything he did, but what about, let's take a time machine and switch babies using the time machine,
right,
of Hitler and Abraham Lincoln,
and see what happens.
Put Abraham Lincoln's infant body, take him into the time machine,
right,
take him to when Hitler was born, without letting anybody know,
flip the babies,
swap the babies. And you're telling me Abraham Lincoln would have exterminated 6 million Jews?
Well, he'd have to.
He has to, because he doesn't have free will. He doesn't have free will anymore. And you're telling me Hitler would have saved the U.S. the way Abraham Lincoln did, and did all the things that he did. Had he just gone through...
Because he had to do what he had to do.
What Abraham Lincoln went through.
You know, it's so... Oh, my head's just about ready to blow up just listening to you talk about this. How could you possibly... You watched the whole show?
Well, I was flipping through, so I didn't catch the beginning, but when I caught this show
how much of that show do you think your dad would watch?
He wouldn't watch any of it. In fact, as soon as he saw what they were talking about, even not knowing that it was communist propaganda. It was anti-religious propaganda, because in Christianity, it's all about free will.
Right.
Because their argument is if God exists, why would he allow all the evil in the world to happen?
He doesn't create the evil.
Right. He just creates the human being and gives them free will. And some people use that responsibility to do good things. And I would say a small minority of people use it to do evil.
Well, just like us with the radio show here, Smyth Radio, we have the free will to do this show or to not do the show.
We could have made this show all about teaching you about the merits of communism.
That's absolutely true.
We could have done that, but we didn't, because we
feel that you need to know something else.
We learned through our own. We're the type of people that prefer righteousness over corruption. And so instead of using the ignorance of the masses to empower us like communists do, we decided that righteousness was more important. And so we'll take building our own power and wealth. We'll put that we'll make that a back burner thing.
Right.
Power and wealth, but righteousness will always trump that. And so we want to teach you that. We want to teach you the wisdom and righteousness that we've learned over the years.
Yep, absolutely. So, we've got people on the chat line.
Oh, we do. Good.
Yeah, we got something popped up, said movies are not like real life, and I chatted back. Movies like to shape your mind one way or another. I mean, that's just.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
That's what they do.
I'm going to create a website called HollywoodMessage.com that's going to illustrate that.
Yes, and there's no question. I mean, it's dicey out there to find the right movies that entertain at the same time. Don't try and shape your mind to be or to believe in liberal communist propaganda stuff, i.e. global warming, which Obama came out this week and said global warming is the greatest threat to America today. Just want to let you know. That's what Obama said. It's not ISIS. It's not communism. It's not.
And it's completely made up.
It's not the car coming down the road at you, separated by a yellow line.
Let me tell you about movies not being real life, being real life. Brian taught me something that I never would have learned, I never would have thought about until Brian just said it multiple times to me, until I started thinking, well, why is this so important? And that is, perception is reality.
Oh,
it's a huge concept.
Yeah.
And, you could cry all day about how global warming is not a reality, because it's not. Global warming is not a reality, but everybody's perception is that it is. And so, as long as we are creating policies and electing officials and supporting causes because of this belief that global warming is a reality, then I guess it's going to be a reality. That's what we have to live with.
Right.
We're going to have to live with all the sanctions against countries that don't comply with global warming initiatives and all that. We have to live with all that.
Well, except for China, they don't have to do anything for the next 100 years.
Well,
and just promise that they will 100 years from now.
And let's say we do all the things that we're supposed to do to combat global warming. 50 years from now, when we all aren't extinct because global warming never happened, they're going to point to all those ridiculous laws, initiatives, and everything like that as the thing that saved us.
Right.
And from that point on, they'll be able to point to that as an important reason why you should give all of your freedoms to the government, because they saved us.
Right.
They saved us.
Wow. Well, more on the sniper.
Did you call me a moron?
Moron. What was that? Oh, that's Glenn Beck's radio show. He has more on trivia.
Yeah, like MORE space O on.
Yeah.
More on trivia.
On trivia.
Okay.
But they call people and they ask
Them really easy
ridiculous,
questions.
Yeah, really easy questions. And they can't get it more on trivia.
Well, some of them answer some of them right. I rarely hear everyone answer everyone right.
So, and this is what we're talking about. I'm going to play you a sound clip of an NBC correspondent. He's not an opinion piece. He is a correspondent for NBC, which means his job is to give you facts.
Well, you would think.
Right. However,
that's what we expect.
Right. However, as we've learned, a fact to a toe-tag liberal is like kryptonite to Superman.
Right. Well, what they do is they tell you what you need to hear to get the narrative across.
Right.
And label it as fact.
Yeah. Yep. You're absolutely right. So here's the NBC correspondent speaking his mind on American Sniper movie.
Some of what people have described as his racist tendencies towards Iraqis and Muslims as he was going on some of these, killing sprees in Iraq on assignment. So I think there are issues.
Wait, but it's killing sprees. When Chris Kyle was going on killing sprees?
When he was involved in on assignments.
Right.
And in terms of what he was doing.
Right.
A lot of the description that has come out from his book and some of the terminology that he has used.
Right.
People have described as racist.
Okay, that was on The Morning Joe.
Yeah, that was Joe Scarborough responding to the NBC correspondent.
Well, and the way that clip ended, Joe Scarborough just
he lets it
float.
go. Well, because Joe Scarborough is on MSNBC. He is supposedly a Republican.
What?
Yes. But
I just about swallowed my tongue.
He gets taken to the woodshed anytime he veers from the hardcore communist liberal viewpoint.
Okay.
And so what happens is you heard a little pushback there.
Yeah.
So he gets it in the ear. He has his earpiece on.
Right.
And somebody starts screaming at him in his ear.
Hey! Nope.
You better. That's enough. That's right.
Enough pushback.
That's enough. And
so,
yeah.
Does it matter that correspondent is dark skin color?
Oh, he's black?
Black. Well, he's actually what
I would say no.
He's light skinned black, very light.
So he's also white.
I believe he does look like he's biracial. There's no question about that.
To me, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter if you're black or white or Latino or Arabic or Muslim.
Right.
When you're a liberal, the race card is a very, very quick fallback. It's like automatic. It's like a hair trigger response for liberals, regardless of what color. They because if they're white, they have the white guilt. If they're black, they have the anger issues. And so everything that's wrong with conservatives, America, or whatever, is that there's racism. And that's what caused it. So it doesn't really matter to me whether or not he was white or black.
Okay. Now, I know it doesn't matter to you. However, do you believe that it matters to him?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
If he's liberal.
Well, and that's...
If he's liberal, yeah.
That's something I was trying to get at because, I'm not trying to bring up race or throw the race card, but that guy was throwing the race card.
Well, no, when they bring it up, we're discussing it, period. That's the way we do it here.
Right.
And he brought it up, so we're discussing. We do not shy away from race relations here on Smyth Radio.
No.
Because it's like a cause of mine to combat the racism and race baiting and division that the Democrats cause.
Right. Well, that's their job. I mean, that's their goal, is to divide and conquer.
It's to cause, they want to cause as much racism and anger between the races as possible. They want to tear down any kind of positive movement towards positive race relations between any two races in America. It's very important to them. It's a very important thing for them to keep racism alive. And I think it's a bunch of crap.
It is a bunch of crap. Well, I mean, but if it dies, just like Al Sharpton. if racism died, he would be out of a job.
Right, and he knows that.
Right, that's why he keeps it alive
Right.
as much as possible. Well, on the Bill O'Reilly show, and we've given you our opinion about Bill O'Reilly. He had
I used to like him.
Yeah, he used to be. He was completely different back in the day.
Yeah,
and he's changed altogether.
He has.
Well, he had a guy named Bernie Goldberg on his show, and he asked Bernie the question about this
movie.
About this movie having to do with what this NBC correspondent said was racist.
Okay.
And so O'Reilly's question to Bernie Goldberg was, every day this gets crazier and crazier. It's hit a core, the left value. The movie and the late Mr. Kyle has gnawed into the fabric. What is it?
Well, look, after Vietnam, liberals in general, learned a lesson. And the lesson was, don't figuratively or literally spit at the troops. It isn't their fault. If you have a gripe, take it out on Lyndon Johnson or Robert McNamara, no problem. But lay off the troops. And liberals in general have really learned that lesson because they've treated the troops, generally speaking, with respect after they came back from Iraq and Afghanistan. The hard left is another story altogether. Whether it's this correspondent, hard news correspondent,
right,
who, by the way, used to work for Al Jazeera before he went to NBC. Whether it's that correspondent you're looking at, or whether it's Howard Dean, who said that the people who went to this American Sniper movie are angry before he apologized for making a stupid remark like that, or whether it's Michael Moore talking about how snipers are cowards, or whether it's Matt Taibbi at Rolling Stone, who wrote a piece under the headline, American Sniper is almost too dumb to criticize, just blasting the movie. These hard left people didn't like the military back then, and they don't like the military now. But what they really don't like, and this gets to the heart of your question, what they really don't like are American people who do like the military. That's why they're going crazy over this movie, because so many Americans who are fundamentally not like these elite liberals, fundamentally different, they are embracing the movie. That's what's driving these people nuts. They're elite liberals in the media who've had no influence on ordinary Americans. That really bothers them.
Did he not? It was a long clip, but did he not say it all? He just wrapped the whole thing up with a bow.
Yeah, Bernie Goldberg, I like listening to his answers wherever he's being questioned, because he does. He wraps it up in a bow. He doesn't leave anything out, and that's just typical Bernie right there.
Well, and that's something else too that I didn't know until I heard him. And this is what we at Smyth Radio and as conservatives need to continue to do, is that when you hear something, you need to repeat it and tell somebody else. Like, I didn't hear anything about that Rolling Stones article until Bernie said it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So those are good things to keep out there, keep talking, keep passing on the information, if you will. It's just so disheartening that that so many people have so much anger, and they like he was saying, instead of taking it out on the troops, they're going to take it out on Middle America.
Well,
the heart of America.
And one thing everybody listening to this should know, and this will happen, this will be a reoccurring thing, the silent majority is an absolute reality. It's an absolute fact. It's real. It vastly outnumbers. And by the way, when we talk about the silent majority, that was like a Nixon term back in the day. That refers to conservatives who are just trying to live their life in America in freedom, peace, quiet, and privacy. Who they don't care about doing like what Brian and I are doing, which is voicing our opinion to the world.
Right.
They don't care about any of that. That's something they would only do when they're being severely oppressed and all that. But they are conservative. They are Christian or religious in some way. They're peaceful. They have the family values. but mainly the most important thing is that they're conservative overall in general. They believe in free market capitalism. They oppose socialism. They believe in personal responsibility, all that kind of stuff. And when you group that group of people together, they so vastly outnumber these morons on the left. And they don't like to believe that. They're all stuck in these inner cities, and they're like, we outnumber you. Look at us. We're everywhere.
Did you see how shocked they were when the support and the flood of support and outflow towards Chick-fil-A?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's an example.
They were shocked.
So with Chick-fil-A, what was it, a gay marriage thing?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A stood against homosexuals.
It was gay marriage.
Yeah, marriage.
Yeah,
okay. But I'm trying to because gay marriage, they use that word a lot because they want you to get used to gay and marriage together. But as we talked before, you can't have
There's no such thing as gay marriage.
Right. There's no such thing as gay marriage.
Because the definition of marriage doesn't include same sex.
Right. Just like crony capitalism, it doesn't work. It would be crony socialism.
But if you had a marriage, a happily married couple could be gay. Happy.
Yeah, it could be so.
For those of you that do
90s.
not know, yes,
there was
gay originally used to mean happy.
Yes.
Well, like the Flintstones will have a gay old time.
Right. And the word queer used to mean somebody that was
strange.
It was a tick off. If you saw somebody walking down the street that you'd never seen before, and he was wearing a trench coat in the middle of the summer, you'd be like, that guy's a little queer. What's going on there?
Yeah, now you say queer, and that's like a derogatory term.
Well, unless you are gay, then you can say it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, in the community, they can,
Which I don't really care. If I say queer and they get upset, it's like, hey, it's a word. It's a sound that came out of my mouth that means nothing. So anyway.
So back to Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent and Gloria Allred were sparring.
And, you got a sound clip?
Yeah, and I got a sound clip of that.
You should
real
have said
quick.
that before. We're all over the place.
Hey, at least we're still staying on point of the movie.
Okay.
You still think, though, that a young person should have the right to go out and hunt and kill a bear, don't you?
Well, you're an attorney, aren't you? It's legal, it's proper, and ultimately the act is essential for the management of that species. Which part don't you get?
Well, the fact...
I understand that hunters have small penises, and therefore that they have to kill something to compensate for having the small penis, and I feel bad for them. I can't relate to it, but I understand the need to compensate for having the small penis by killing a big animal.
So he's calling every single Native American for the past 10,000 years.
Small penises.
They all have small penises.
Everybody. Yeah, and they have it's a sickness. It's an illness. And that was a Bill Maher, by the way, folks.
Yeah, he's the original politically incorrect guy.
Right.
That was his name of his show, Politically Incorrect, until he got too politically incorrect and got fired for saying something that was controversial.
And now
the name of the show is Politically Incorrect. Anyway.
And now he's on
Real Time with Bill Maher.
Yep. Yeah.
I used to watch that show, and that's the kind of show that my dad, if you want to torture my dad, you
strap him to a chair. Yes.
Handcuff him to a chair and tie him up so he can't move, and make sure his nothing's covering his ears.
Right.
And put the little toothpicks in the eyelids to keep them open.
No, you just give him one of the Vivarin that he has in the cabinet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Give him some
no-dose.
No-dose.
No-dose. Pop
Take
a couple of those.
And then seat him in front of a big screen TV with surround sound for Bill Maher and Real Time with Bill Maher. And I think that would be the biggest torture ever for my dad.
You would hear... That's what you would hear your dad doing.
Gagging his last breath of life. Oh, yeah, that would be tough. But no, so what is the problem where somebody like Bill Maher does... Hunting is a part of survival of human beings and other just about anything that that would be considered a predator that eats meat or other creatures. That's what they do. They hunt.
Right.
And so, does a spider have a small penis because it, like a wolf spider, it actually runs down its prey,
right,
and jumps on it, and it's hunting.
He must have.
It hunts down its prey.
He must have a small penis.
Right. I mean, what about the lions in Africa that hunt that?
Guaranteed, they're minuscule. I mean, you can't even see them; they're so small.
Right. I mean, what is he talking about? It's hunting.
Okay, and now I don't want you guys to get too sidetracked by us. Just making fun of this guy, but what he just did was he lost. Bill Maher lost an educated conversation when Ted put a beat down, a verbal beat down, if you will, very politely and extremely
he's very
correct.
Respectful.
Yes.
Very respectful.
And Allred and Bill Maher completely lost. And they
so
knew
they
lost.
They accused Ted Nugent of having a small penis. That was how they win the argument. And here's the thing.
Not only did he say, Ted, you've got a small penis, but Ted, I've got a big one. Because he said, and I don't know anything about that.
Oh, for crap's sake. So, you're right. Well, and here's the thing. That's the low information voters accept that as a decisive blow.
Right, because they shut Ted up.
And that's why Obama was extremely successful in his State of the Union address when he said, I'm not running anymore, and they started clapping. And he said, it's because I won both of them.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, booyah! Boom! You got pwned! And that's what... And that's the decisive blow in a debate for low information voters. If you can come up with a clever way of combating somebody's valid argument by saying that they have a small penis, and somehow you get away with it without looking awkward, you just won the debate.
Right, and don't think Obama didn't do that. That happened last week. That happened just last week.
Yeah, that was the State of the Union address.
Right,
that's exactly what he did.
And I'm not
and
running
what did
again.
What did all the low information commentators, the big giant journalists, quote unquote? I got to use air quotes whenever I say journalists.
Oh yeah.
At the AP. And all those Yahoo News and all that, they came out with all these articles about the zinger that Obama said during the State of the Union. Never mind the pile of lies. I mean,
listen to last week's show, and Kerry went through the litany of.
I had to make it short. I abridged it. There's all kinds of lies in there. I had to skim over,
and it's very, very hard. Being a high information voter, it is so difficult.
Only because you're being beat down with lies.
Right, because you can see clearly the maniacal thing that he is. It's
diabolical.
Diabolical.
He's diabolical.
Oh my.
Yeah. So what the media does, and the media, make no mistake about it, the mainstream media is the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party.
Right.
That's what they do.
There's no question about it. I mean, they've been propping Obama up for 6 years now. And even with them helping to prop him up for the last 6 years, he still has an approval rating in, I don't know if it's still in the 30s.
That's because a majority of American people are just not that dumb. And they're not buying it anymore. They're not buying all these lies. And it's like this boy who cried wolf, and after a while it's like, all right, we know you're lying.
Right, and even the libs, they want him, like the crazies on the very fringe, the fringe lunatic liberals, that want him to do something. They want him to govern. They want him to, instead of fighting this fight, because he's always fighting a fight. That's what the dictators do. They're always fighting.
Castro is still trying to.
Well, he had to rein his brother in when Raul said, "We've now won the fight is over, and so Castro had to bring his brother in.
You can never win.
You never give up your hand.
You
never give it up.
You never win the battle.
Nope.
It just always has to be fought, is what they say.
Right.
We have to keep fighting.
Just like the war on poverty. Ironically, 60 years later, percentage per capita, we're exactly the same amount of poor people as we did 60 years ago. And we've thrown, what was it, $20 trillion, that $10 trillion at it?
Monumental failure. But if you keep doing the same thing over the past 50 years.
Right. They said now, I think the stat I read was 15 million children are on welfare, on food stamps. 15 million.
And I would say that qualifies as poverty. If you can't live a normal life in America without somebody in the government sending you a paycheck for no work whatsoever. I'm not talking about if you're working for the government.
Right.
I'm saying they're just sending you a paycheck for the sole purpose of making your ends meet.
Right.
Then I would consider that being somebody that would be in poverty. I would say that.
Yeah. And I am not criticizing anyone who needs help or assistance. Not at all. That would be the last thing I would ever do. However, if you're driving a brand new Escalade and you're
you need that Escalade to get all the groceries that you have to. We're talking 2-3 carts worth of groceries that you can afford on an EBT card. They give you like $900 a month just for groceries. You need that Escalade.
The guy at work, he said his sister has 3 kids and she gets $700 a month. 3 kids.
I think the family price sale over there.
Yeah.
I think
it's probably up there.
Like 800.
Oh,
it's a lot. Yeah.
Oh, just ripe.
Who spends that much on
crime.
groceries?
It's ripe for crime.
Oh.
Well, just to finish up on the crime, Miss Obama came out this week and said, "We hope our country will welcome back our veterans, not by setting them apart, but by fully integrating them into the fabrics of our communities." She actually came out in favor of the movie American Sniper.
That's amazing.
However, I did a little bit further digging, and she made the comment about Chris Kyle's gender. They say sex, but it's his gender in military movies. She said, "It's always a he."
Well, this is a biography.
No,
did they want a woman to play Chris Kyle in this movie?
Yes.
Maybe Kris Jenner could do it. Bruce Jenner. What's his name?
It's Krista Jenner now.
Well, what was his original name?
Bruce.
And
he's gone through the change.
Yeah. Maybe he could play the part. Because obviously,
she was.
Bradley Cooper was obviously not feminine enough in this.
Right.
So then, does his wife is played by a man, and would be the husband? What is she talking about? Why would a biography be criticized for the gender of the leading role?
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Is that really what she was saying?
Yeah. Michelle takes swipe at American Sniper, criticizes Chris Kyle's sex and military movie. It's always a he.
What? That has got to be the dumbest thing I have ever heard this week.
I would have to say it's about the dumbest I've ever heard.
That has got to be the most mind-numbingly dumb criticism of a biography I've ever heard in my life. A biopic.